I hope I caught you up so that you can really hear the Spirit of the Lord about what I'm about to say to you, Pastor. I know there's a time in our lives where we figure that we need to just give the vision to the people and let them just go. But we can no longer do that. We have got to do what Habakkuk 2:2 tells us, and that is write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. And a lot of the reasons why, Pastor, your church can't grow or you have so much havoc in leadership is because you have not equipped them. And there is a distinction between equipping someone versus training them. I love how John Maxwell, I just love his messages. Been kind of studying on some of his leadership books and things like that, because he's right on target as it relates to building strong leadership. And one of the things that he pointed out was that in this term equipping, he said that this is an area where we're actually getting the potential leaders and we're processing them through what we are expecting from them. And in that vision, many times the leader can't follow a vision that they don't understand. And many of the leaders I know, the ones that I've experienced, have not actually taken that time to revisit the vision and take the time with leadership and even the whole congregation and be sure that they're connected to the vision, that they may be there to support you, that they may run with the vision. Because why? Now their heart is connected. They're in covenant with your vision. And so, but when you use the term training, and you know, I use the term training a lot because I do a lot of professional development training for secular. But this training is also in the church, you know, in the Christendom as well. Because some things we do have to use our hands for and show them how to do something, you know, in a structured way. But training, the word training in this particular facet when we're trying to equip leaders, the difference in equipping as it relates to, you know, ministry versus training means that you are giving someone a specific, focused job task to do, and you're going to show them, you're going to train them how to do it, whether it's answering the telephone or making some copies or whatever, or cutting the yard and never use a lawnmower, whatever that is. You're actually training them. Now they're actually being trained in that area. But when we equip our leaders, the goal is that we're trying to get them to see what we want from them and what God has put inside of them. So that means that if God is putting something inside of them, our responsibility is to bring that thing alive, help them deliver what God is asking them to do from that call or that gift. But we need to look at how can we get this to process, Dr. Murphy. Well, first of all, one of the problems is that we got yesterday leadership trying to operate in end time ministry, and that ain't gonna work. I mean, we got to get lined up that we can no longer do church as usual. We've got to do outside the box services, and that means in reach and outreach. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but just want to kind of talk a little bit about that on these leadership points on equipping, you know, the potential leaders, because you got a lot of them that's sitting there on the pews, you know, doing a whole lot of inside work, but there's no development, there's no equipping, trying to prepare them for your vision. You know, and a lot of, I know I'm probably talking to you, a lot of us, you know, I know people when they first start out and they got a good team inside and they don't want to lose them because they know the gift is there, but they don't want them to go ahead of God or move too quick. So they don't equip that gift. They don't, you know, nurture that baby. And so there the people start to get stagnated, but actually God is going to hold you accountable for that, because actually you cannot hold a person hostage there because they do a good job, and you got to get them prepared. That's why it's called discipleship, so they can go get others and bring them into the camp where you at. Okay, Pastor. Now, listen to me carefully, and I hope that you'll be blessed by this, because I was up tonight. I was going to do this on my TV show, but I decided to go ahead on and do it on here because I didn't feel like getting prepared for the show. But I do know one thing. If you're listening to me, just pray that God will touch your heart so you can hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. Now, you got to, first of all, in order for you to be a good leader, to get them to see your vision, you got to first see who's with you. You know, how you going to do that? You got to discern. And so many of the leaders today are really spiritually blind because they're doing too much performance or too many programming type of ministries. They're so busy worrying about numbers and tithes and offers and things like that, and they can't see in the spirit the ones that's going to help you possibly get the church to grow, to possibly get you to not have to always do these fish fries and car washes. And what I'm trying to show you now is that you got to discern. That's number one. That's number one for the 101 leadership equipping. You got to discern. And what do you mean by that, Dr. Murphy? Well, in order for you to discern, you got to have good judgment about these people that are around you who are there that can prepare for what your vision is. That means you're looking at the potential ones. Those ones you can discern, where they're going, what this person know, and all this type of thing. So you're there to prepare this person who is a disciple. And most importantly, how you can look deeply into their lives in the spirit to see what gift God has given them. That means now you're doing a spiritual assessment to see what this person's gifts are. And so I love how John Maxwell said, he said, disciples of another person involve discerning where that person is. So that's what you're doing now, knowing where he's supposed to go and giving him what he needs to get where. Why? Because the person and the assignment is given what? It must match one another. So there's no need of you putting somebody on the usher board when you know they don't even like people. They don't even know how to smile. And so you got to look at, using people in areas that could easily cause your ministry to start dwindling down, or people want to go away because the people that's the doorkeepers got attitudes. I'm just giving that as an example. And so then the next thing is, he says here that everyone you recruit for your ministry should be a potential leader, but you should not try to personally mentor everyone in that ministry. You should not try to personally do this. You should have all of this time where you gather the people together to prepare them for the vision, to understand it, and then you equip and release those that you have now seen in the spirit that can take that leadership role and equip those. Right. Now you're duplicating. That means now you're doing in reach, and also you're I don't want to say training. You're cross equipping those leaders so that they can now feed off one another as they work your vision. Okay. Now he also goes on here to say that you need to lead and nurture everyone within your influence. That means within your circle of your church of leadership. He said, but spend 80% of your time on the most promising people and 20% on what? On the potential ones around you. And here are some guidelines that he's asking us to look at. Now, these are the ones you definitely need to get a pen and write these down, because I know you don't want to hear my mouth anymore, very much more. And so you just write these down, and hopefully, you'll get quickened in your spirit to understand that it's not that they don't want to be there. It's not that they don't want to do what you want. It's just they don't understand what you want, because you keep changing it. You keep on doing all these different things. First you say we are full gospel. Then you say we are charismatic. Then you say now we're apostolic. You gotta have the vision plain. You gotta go what God is telling you to do, and not the flow of what the world is doing or what every church is trying to do. You gotta stay in the flow of what God initially showed you, and stay in that vein. Yes, you may be in yesterday, but now you gotta move toward the end time service that God is looking for us to do. That means you're gonna have to do more than church as usual, and you gotta start equipping these leaders in order to do that, because you cannot do it all alone. You are not. There's no such thing as a loner pastor. There's no such thing as an introvert pastor. You have got to know that you got to get involved in an intimate way with your sheep. You cannot just do the James Brown move after you do your preaching and run on to your office and expect people to join your church and you don't even come out and greet them. Oh, I know I'm talking to somebody. So you got to try to work a way so that you can get you and your wife to go and meet and greet these people after they join your church or your ministry. You got to slice out that time so that they can get up close and personal with you, at least get to know you and, get your heartbeat and hear from you. Even though you've already taught these other leaders how to prepare them for your vision and all the things that's going on in the church. They may provide that in whatever y'all call new members class, but that's not the real deal there. The real deal is getting you there so they can feel your heartbeat when you talk about where you're headed, the new plans you have, if you're building or whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are. They got to connect to that vision. Trying to slow it down. I hope I'm talking to you. And so the first thing he said, we need to select people. Now we're talking about equipping these leadership now. Now you got to learn that these people, now that you have discerned these, and these people here, he says that you need to select people whose philosophy, that mean are those goals and visions that God has given you of life is similar to yours. And so that means I don't have no business over there at no Baptist church, and I know I'm an apostle trying to move and do things in the spirit to cast out demons and do apostolic work. It just ain't going to work. I may be able to go there and get him a message of where they need to be from yesterday and to now, but I cannot sit there and expect to grow in a place that's yesterday. And so we need to select people like that, and that means it's going to be difficult if you have someone there you're trying to put in a leadership position who have the values, whatever they believe, concerning your vision or the things and the goals that you have, outlined there, that you let everybody know. These things are different from yours. They're not really interested. They're just there to maybe the choir's good, or maybe the women that are coming or what have you, they're lonely, so they see some possibility of some dates in there, or whatever. It could be a loose church, and so therefore they just there for that reason, but they're not connected to your vision. And so this is the reason why a lot of churches are dwindling down, because people are not connecting to the vision. And we've got to get the vision of the heart of the pastor very clear, and the first lady need to be there, because there's a whole lot of signs going to be going on if we don't have a first lady that is connected to be able to minister to these women too. That's why a lot of them coming in half naked. Now, we've got to understand that this is a process. And so how are you going to get that to happen when both of y'all hiding out? You got to get connected to equip them. The second thing he says is you need to choose people with potential you genuinely believe in. And that means, he said that earlier on, you got to look at the 80% of your time on the most promising people and 20% on the potential one. And so you're going to choose those people with potential who genuinely believe in your vision. And so if you don't believe in them, you should not give them the time that they need as far as you giving that time. See, that means now you're going to allow that other time for those people that you trained up and equipped and released to be leaders. Now they will go with those who you know that you need to have your mind and your thoughts on, that can really, really do the work. Okay, and so as you discern this, you'll be able to see who you're going to have the lack of confidence in. You're going to see whether or not if the potential is there or not. And on the other hand, you'll see whether or not you need to empower them. You're going to look at that. And the way you're going to do that is everybody needs to be in position. You got to recognize the right opportunity to bring these people out, the right time to sit down and talk to them about what you see that they can help you, do in a certain way. And now you're equipping them, because now you know they're connected. And then after you know they're connected and they believe in your vision and they're there for you to hold your arms up so that they can help you in whatever area that you may need help in, then you want to determine now, what do they need? What do they need? What areas of training, that is, I keep saying training because we say it so much, what area of equipping for leadership do they really need from you? Because see, they got to get it from you. It's got to come, the oil has to come out from you. Because this is the reason why things are so twisted today. Because a lot of the leadership today is twisted and crooked. And so you can't have anything else but crooked and twisted sons and daughters. And so we got to look at how are we equipping them so that we can get them to get the vision running. Keep the vision running. So you're going to determine what they need. That means that you're going to determine what these potential leaders need. It involves looking at their strengths and their weakness. You need to look at those very strategically. You're going to look at that their strengths. How does it indicate? What does it indicate where they're going? Does it indicate what they can become? And then their weaknesses will show you what you need to help them improve. Now, encouraging them in their strengths and helping them overcome their weaknesses will move them closer to reaching your potential, reaching your vision and their potential. Okay? And so that's what you want. You want to strengthen them in their weaknesses, even though you know that they cannot do all the things that pertain to your vision, but you are there to help strengthen them in those weak areas. Then you want to evaluate their process constantly. You got to do that. You can't just release people and never check. This is why we have so much church split today, because we got a lot of Jezebelic leadership going on and a lot of control from the pastors today, because they want to try to run everything. But I'm telling you right now, that's not going to work. You're going to have to be able to equip these leaders, and after you equip them, you're going to have to release them and believe in what you have deposited in them. Because if you can't believe them, why you got them there? Number one, so you want to evaluate the process constantly just to see if they're flowing and what you have given them, what God has directed you to show them. Because people need feedback. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't give them feedback, they don't really know what you want. I'll never forget one time someone had asked me to do something in their church, and they just verbally told me all this, not understanding the apostolic call of my life. You can't verbally tell me anything. You're going to have to put it in writing. You know why? Because that's how I am. I'm very strategic in that way. Because pastors are very well known for saying one thing and then expecting something different. Now, you got to know that you're going to have to learn how to strategically lay the vision out. That means write it. I just read you the scripture. You already know it. Everybody preach it. I'm telling you right now that you got to write this down, because people tend to be a show me Texas anyhow. And so if you write it down, it'll be more clear, and then you can have a meeting and go over all of this so they can be very clear. And I'll go as far as saying they need to sign a letter of understanding that you understand, because I know I've done it in trainings and things that I've equipped people with. I make them sign this, that I understand. Why? Because first of all, people always want to come back and say, I don't remember that. Just lying, because what it is that they forgot. And they tell them, and they forgot, and they wasn't that interested. This is the reason why you got to get people around you who do care about your vision, Pastor. And equip them. So you want to have your eyes on these particular one. And I love he had put it in his book. He said, Ben Franklin said, the eye of the master will do more work than both his hands. Why? Because he knew that his leader's ability to evaluate was his greatest strength. And so an honest pastor or mentor will be very objective in choosing and selecting leaders that they're going to mentor or that they're going to equip in their vision. And if necessary, you should encourage the person to stay on course. You need to see where they are on their task, find out their meeting deadlines. You need to seek and whether or not if they're actually following, protocol. These kind of things, it shows honor. It shows humility. It shows that they are committed to what you are doing. And then you want to also see whether or not if they're following directives that you've given, not trying to go over the leader that you've given orders to or given directives to. They're going to go over them and start coming back to you. They need to learn how to follow the leader. And so this is a reason for the purpose of this vision type of leadership equipping 101. You need to do that one day in your ministry, so you can sit down and develop these leaders so they can understand this is where I'm going, and let the discerning spirit see who qualifies to sit in this type of meeting for whatever level that you're going to be discussing with them, because some of them are not going to qualify. So they should not be in the vision, in the pastor's vision, as it relates to giving some type of vehicle or where you headed, because some of them can't do it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm trying to slow it down. Some of them can't do it. They're going to get tired and they're going to be overwhelmed, and they're going to quit, and they're going to start sowing tares in the wheat, saying, oh, this is too much, and I thought he wanted this, I thought she wanted that. And so it's better that you let the Lord show you who it is that should be there, that you should be equipping on these responsibilities that are very delicate concerning your vision. And so then finally, you want to be committed, you want to be serious, you want to be available to the people that you have given this equipping and time ministry to. You want that time that you are spending with these, that the Lord has shown you how to develop and what to do in this mentoring process, so that they can take your vision and run with it. See, this development process for these potential leaders will be a reflection of your commitment, which means that if you're going to come from out of your office, set these times up, not always being late, that's a bad demonstration there, always saying you got tired of, or, and all this stuff. No. If you want them to be on time, you need to be on time. If you want them to follow protocol, you need to follow the same protocol that you actually designed. That's what's wrong with the church today. You want to say something and you ain't doing the same thing. Lord, help me today. And so the commitment, the seriousness, the availability, and this thing that and this process that you're trying to equip them with, you need to already have it in you. You should be doing that. You can't talk a thing you're not walking and expect people to follow it. And so this development, this equipping process, you're going to show your commitment to them, and any poor commitment that you demonstrate, you can rest assured it's going to be a poor development out of the same people that you thinking is going to be there to help you, because your commitment is poor. And so poor commitment equals poor development, equals poor demonstration. And so you want to get good, committed leaders who are there to say that they're there to be there for your vision. And you want to have this great opportunity that you all can connect and they can believe in and see you, standing for the same thing that you got them, being there to support you with. And so that means that you have this great commitment. That means it's going to equal great equipping and development. And so then he goes on to say that you're there to give these people an opportunity to discover their purpose. You're there to contribute from your own ministry into their lives without feeling that they might try to do a church split and do their own little church underneath you. This is the reason why you got to have a sort of discernment to know who you are bringing into your mix of your vision to that level of growth. You got to know and choose wisely. And so he goes on to say you can also maximize your contribution in your organization by choosing people who do what? Who will be willing to also equip other leaders. He says, as most people agree that nurturing is one of the most important areas that develop leaders, and that is true. And in order for you to be able to, I just got all these tied tongues today. In order for you to be able to develop the leader and equip them for your vision, and that they may run with it and be equipped to later go ye therefore, you're going to have to nurture them. And so if you fail to nurture them in this place where they are there, as far as looking at your vision and the things that you expect them to do, you can't assume that these leaders will nurture themselves. It's totally impossible. They cannot just feed off of their own breast. That's why it's called a mother in the spirit and a father in the spirit. So you can nurture them and feed them with the spiritual food that will make them grow. You will never ever develop leaders in this type of ministry that you say that God is calling you to, with the desires of your own heart not being poured out over them. And so you've got to do it. You've got to demonstrate that in every facet, in every way that God gives you for these particular ones that you see the potential in. And when you nurture these people around you, everybody wins. They grow up, they go ye therefore, the church starts to grow, your leaders are equipped to be able to help disciple others that come in. Why? Because they're there for your vision and they are believing in everything that you have demonstrated. Why? Because you equip them and they're a model now of your vision and even the gifts that God has put inside of them. So why? They're happy. They know now that they've been equipped so they can process not only what you've given them there to do, but they can process who God has called them to be and do. Well, I hope this little 101 helped you out. Have a good night. I can show rest tonight because I always just obey God when he asks me to do something. So I did that. So I hope this is going to help you. Shoot me an email and let me know if it helped a brother and sister out. Just remember, you got to know that we spend too much time trying to raise up leaders who are not even connected to the vision. You got to make sure that they got your heartbeat, that they are there supporting it, and they're running with your vision. God bless you.